All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to more Black Desert. My name is Sean, and today I wanted to talk about how to level up alchemy and what kind of strategies I used. So, as we all know, eventually your goal is to get Guru Alchemy for multiple reasons, whether you want to process those light stones into those whatever the ones you can buy off the market. For example, the purified thingies, and then turn them into either profit or try to get the strike crystal that we all need. So, as we all know, it just takes a long time, and I'll try to show you what kind of things I did to mostly level up quickly. So I think it took me about a month of pretty casual alchemy, and for someone who's a beginner and not super prepared for everything, here's what I would do to just start now. So first of all, you're probably going to need a ton of alchemy tools. So whether you have any extra thingies from the bosses, like the Old Moon seals, basically those allow you to recover the durability, whether you have those or not, one thing I would start recommending is investing into a node that gives the tools. So for example, the advanced alchemy tool is a pretty easy one to get. Polished stone is from the rough stone, which is mining, really easy to get. Unstable scantlings are from chopping trees and then processing that. Melted iron shards and blackstone powders are things you can get from melting crystals and stuff. There's a lot of things you can get. Blackstone powder, you can actually just buy a lot of these off the market. Your bottleneck will probably be the polished stone, but that's okay, you can also gather that yourself. And some other tips that I would give to all of you, whether you're a beginner or not, is start doing your imperial alchemy. I know a lot of people do imperial cooking for profit, and it's very easy. The reason why you do alchemy is to get the supreme alchemy tool for 100. So basically I could do about 200 something a day, so that would be 2 supreme alchemy tools. For the most part, I would recommend doing cooking just because you get profit, but if you need the actual alchemy tools itself, then this is also a good choice. So that's an option. And so before we get started on what to cook and how I go about doing it, let me talk about some buffs that'll help you guys as well. So first and foremost, you guys may be wondering, is it better to get Monos alchemy clothes or the silver embroidered? Now, if you are exclusively cooking for XP, the silver embroidered is a lot better. However, I think for alchemy in particular, I do think mastery is worth a lot more compared to cooking, where you want to cook with XP and then turn-ins with the Monos clothes. So the difference is based on how high your cooking time or how low you can get your cooking time to be. So if you can get like a Tet Monos clothes, that's -5 seconds, whereas if you have a embroidered clothes, it's -4 or 5, I guess, depending on how much you feel like spending on it. But if you're just going for XP, get the clothes first. And then try to get your XP and then mastery as high as possible early on, because it'll just save you a bunch of alchemy tools, or the tools early on. So whether you have Monos accessories or not, even if it's like base, there's like a 2-set bonus or something. So let me just look at mine. Where is it? Where is it actually? Oh, there it is. So like, I only have try gear for the most part, but if you look at the item effect, it gives life XP, and then the mastery is a bonus on the side. So yeah, you'll just get a bunch of extra XP, and then I'd recommend, of course, using the seafood cron meal, and then whatever kind of life buffs you get. An easy one to get is Elixir Flowing Time, which you can actually just craft to boost your alchemy level as well. Pretty easy, along with the secret books and the XP thing that you get every day, and a bunch of perfumes of swiftness and so on. If you have the Trent's tier from Seasons a while ago, I would honestly recommend using this one because it gives life XP plus 30% over at a Khan's Heart. Also, this is about 9.5 billion silver, so I understand not many people will have it unless you're already in the mid to late game. So either way, it doesn't matter. What else you could do instead is get the life stones. These are available on the market for less than 1 mil each, and it cuts your cooking time and alchemy time by a good 1.1 seconds. So your goal ultimately is to have like 1 second cooking and alchemy time, or as low as possible. And so that's how we cover getting all the tools, boosting your XP as much as possible. You can also do tent buff for the life skill and everything, just any buffs you can get as well. So next, you're probably wondering, what should I make? And the answer to getting things really quickly is, if you are starting from beginner, one thing I would recommend are purified water, any like river waters you can get early on, because you're gonna need these in like intermediate level crafting. So it's not necessarily for profit, it's more because you're trying to level it up. And I will say, alchemy is not as profitable as cooking. I think a lot of us already knew that, but the reason why we do that is to make stuff for ourselves for endgame, like elixirs, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well. So a few things I would recommend for alchemy is purified water, and then you could use these to turn into other things. Let's see, what else? What are some other things? If you have your spirit sleeves, you're gonna need these later, whether you do any gathering or not. These might be a bottleneck. A lot of saps are important from your nodes. So I actually have a video that I'll leave in the description, my node setup, because I've always told people the best nodes you can get are the ones you actually are going to use for like cooking, alchemy, and everything. So chances are there's going to be a bottleneck for you, and saps are definitely one of them. And so any saps you guys have left over, make sure to actually hold on to them instead of selling them. Spirit sleeves are important as well. Traces are important. And of course, clear liquid reagents, which you're going to be making a lot of in the future as well. Same with blackstone powders, but that's alchemy, but it's also you get it from processing and grinding. So a lot of materials. There's a website, the BDO Codex, and then you can just figure out what materials you have and then what you can turn it into. So over here in my glitch tab, we have a lot of different things. So oils are more for elixirs, bloods are turned into elixirs. So same with traces and stuff. Now you may be wondering, I'm a beginner and I don't have a lot of traces or bloods and all that stuff. That's where gathering comes in, because I've always said that gathering is the gateway to doing a lot of other life skills like cooking, alchemy, processing, and so on. So chances are you're probably doing it already. That's why you have it. And some of the things that are easy to make that I did was a lot of clown's blood. And if you, let me just show you, for example, instead of pulling up like a website. So clown's blood, these are all things you can get real easy. So wolf's blood, you can just buy off the market, or you can gather it yourself. I'd probably recommend gathering it yourself instead. Spirit sleeve, this is probably going to be one of your bottlenecks, so start putting an order on it now if you don't have tens of thousands of them. Clear liquid reagent, remember how we told you to make those early on from beginner to like whatever level until you start moving up into tiers. And then powder of darkness, you can either buy them or you probably have a bunch of them on a node. You could also use rhino blood, but whichever one is cheaper, just get that or gather it yourself. And then mostly you're just going to be crafting a lot of different bloods, whether you use it for profit or not. It just, either way, it's XP. Now, if you want to actually make something that's useful and you might actually be able to sell back on the market for either breaking even or slightly a little bit of profit, all these traces that you have here, along with fruits, you could turn these into elixirs, which is, I would honestly say these are more of endgame things. And be careful with doing it, because you could make it and sell it, which is good money. But if you ever get to the point at really late game where end game players, they all use elixir rotations for PvE, PvP, and everything, so just keep that in mind. You could either hold them until you need it, or you could sell it. It doesn't really matter. So I do have a video of all the elixirs I made as well, and you can find that. So one of them is the Elixir Flowing Time. You don't need the party elixir. I just use it because double procs and everything. But either way, this is good for self-use. The Elixir Flowing Time, more life XP. And generally, if you don't know what the material is used for, you could look at the codex site and be like, oh, okay, so I have a bunch of these traces. What can I turn these into? And then I have a lot of these fruits. So basically, you're just cooking, or not cooking, but like alchemy, crafting, basically everything. And the things I would say are really important just for general use are like bloods and everything. And make sure to just make a lot of clown's blood, as well as purified water, and turn that into clear liquid reagents. So this one, very easy early on recipe that you'll need a lot of. And then go into bloods. You could actually do bloods all the way to guru if you wanted to. But once you get into the masters, that's where things get pretty slow. And you're probably like, why am I doing this again? So you might want to start looking into crafting elixirs, which is actually pretty decent XP as well. But you're going to have to be making a lot of different kinds overall. And then, so you actually feel like the things you're making are kind of useful instead of just making bloods over and over, which is the cheaper option. But later on, once you get to like what, 280 to 300 AP, and you're just like, oh, okay, so I want to grind these big spots, but I don't know how to go about doing it. Now you have elixirs already made. So yeah, that's for the most part what I wanted to talk about. I'll leave a link in the description to my elixirs, which is basically what I use for PvP and PvE. You don't really need like a guide on how to make it, because if you look at any elixir on the market, it'll just tell you how to make it yourself, and then you just make it. So anyway, with that said, we covered how to get a bunch of alchemy tools and like the things to make. So one thing I did before was Glitch 3. I use this one because it's very easy to obtain one, especially as a new player. You probably found Glitch early on. And then you can make the advanced alchemy tools. So polished stone, unusable or usable scantlings. Let me just show you how to get these. So let's say you have everything in Heidel. There's a lot of trees in Heidel right here next to town. Go chop those trees. And the reason why I tell you to do it over here is because the town is right there. So if you don't have paid inventory, or not inventory, but like weight, you could just drop it off right back in town, and it takes you like a good minute. And then you do a little rotation. You chop all these trees around here. You walk down over here, and then you can go do these. And by the time you come back over here, chances are these trees have like the cooldown reset. So that's how you get a lot of your wood and all that stuff, the unusable scantlings and everything, just the logs. And then you could turn those into unusables. And as for rough stone, you can find them all over the world, but if you're just targeting that one in particular, down in Pilgrim's Haven, you just get like tens of thousands of them in an hour or so. Or you can just put an order on the market. Either way, it works. And then everything else, you should have nodes and stuff setting up. So very easy to do. And then bottled water, like the purified stuff. You just buy those off the market. Trust me when I say it's fine. So with that said, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you tomorrow. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and I would love to see you guys come back. Peace.